Welcome back to the Norse Benchwarmers podcast. I'm your host, Colton Smith, here joined by producer Josh Northcutt and co-host Alex Perez. Also joined here by director Garrett Jordan. Fellas, we are here for probably the last one of all of us here being in the studio. The last episode. I'll be moving next week up to good old North Dakota. So excited. And then, Garrett's got a gig down in Nashville, if you don't mind me sharing that. So how is wrapping up school going, though? Because I know Josh graduating, Alex graduating. Garrett still got another semester, but still, how's it going? I don't know what it's like.
Just have one big project left, and that's about it. I'm almost there.
Let me guess, your graphics one?
Yeah. But, I am 95% done with it, so I'm chilling now, honestly.
That's fair enough. And I actually just turned in my last final paper, whatever you want to say. So I'm coasting from here for the last 2 weeks, just doing the podcast class and the newscast class. So, I mean, it's very simple, very easy. Just coast in and graduate, and
if only I had that.
Then try to figure out what to do next.
Yeah, that's so crazy to think I'm almost done with homework forever.
Right.
That hasn't registered in my brain.
Yeah, how does that feel?
What's homework?
See, but I could argue, me and you would still have to do homework if we go into the direction we want to go to. So
for sure, absolutely.
Calling games and stuff like that. I didn't realize, especially baseball, there is a lot of stats to dig into.
Oh yeah,
what the hell
is a whip? What is a whip?
Walk his innings, bitch. Don't ask me what a WAR and how they figure that out yet. I still can't.
See, I actually have an idea on WAR. I don't know how they figure it out.
I know how wins above replacement, but I don't know how it works.
All right, this isn't a baseball podcast yet, though. So Garrett, well, that's not the person to go to. But how are you doing, Garrett?
No, you're right. Not a baseball pod.
Shut up, Garrett.
Okay.
Garrett, you matter.
Thank
How
you,
are
Colton.
you doing?
Thank you, Colton. I appreciate that. I am doing pretty good.
Can I talk NFL draft now?
Finally got okay. All right, let's just go ahead and talk NFL draft.
Garrett,
Josh,
I want to hear it.
Let's go ahead and talk it.
No, Garrett, I want to hear what you have to say.
We finally finished up all my workshops in my writing class, so I got all my peer feedback. Gotta put in all my final drafts, and then I gotta edit this last video for my video editing class.
I need to see that edit, by the way.
That edit will never see the light of day outside of that class.
That's the beauty of being an EMB major, is that there's a lot of edits that will never see the light of day. But
I don't claim to be the best video editor in the world, but that final project should be something. That's all.
I promise you're better than me.
Hey, Gary, should I show up for that final class?
If you did, that would be kind of funny. It would be kind of funny. I can't lie. I don't know if we have to be there in person for it or not yet, but I think it'd be even funnier if we didn't and you showed up anyways.
That'd be great. But before we get into the draft, I do want to just quickly say that we'll be off kind of the normal schedule. I know these guys have something planned next week. I'll be busy moving and whatnot, so I don't know if you're going to when you get that video out, but we should have a video out next week. We want to record something after this to give a little more details onto what's going on, and we'll talk a little bit about it at the end. But basically, Norse Benchwarmers, as you know it, is going to be changing quite a bit from the usual strategy and whatnot. So just be sure to stick around to hear what's next for the channel. But without further ado, Josh, just take it away.
NFL draft.
There it is.
No, I shouldn't be this excited because we'll get into that. But no, last night, obviously, round one of the draft, a lot of teams had some highs, some teams and fan bases had some lows, and there was some what-the moments. So, gentlemen, right off the bat, in your opinion, Colton, we'll start with you and throw it out your way. Who is the biggest winner or the first person or team that comes to your mind as a winner?
You see, this draft really put a lot of things in perspective for me because I feel like to the last year, it was kind of very clear who won and who lost. Right kind of at the point, and that aged pretty well. I feel like with this one, there is a lot of maybe this will work, maybe it won't. I think right at the top, you could say the biggest winner is the Tennessee Titans. They're looking for that franchise guy, and Cam Ward very well could be that. But he also might not be. We don't fully know. We know he's got the tools to do it. We know he's got that, but is he going to? So I'd say all in all, I think the biggest winner from the entire draft is for sure Jacksonville on the first. They had to give up some for Travis Hunter, but Travis Hunter is a generational talent, and will be very key. I mean, him and Thomas, man, that's going to be a nasty wide receiver duo. And then I'm curious to see how that first two-way player works in the NFL, and how much they'll use them on offense and defense and whatnot. But all in all, that's the best the Jaguars probably could have asked for. It's a shot in the arm that they desperately needed. And this is probably I would say a prove-it year for Trevor Lawrence. If he hasn't figured it out this year, he's not done in the NFL, but it might be time
paid
for
him way too much money to be done.
Yeah.
Right. But it might be time for him to look elsewhere.
Yeah, no, I would agree with that. It's an absolutely prove-it year, and I do feel like they gave up just a little too much, if you're asking me personally. The deal exactly was the Browns received the 5th overall pick, the 36th overall pick, the 126, and next year's first. And that's where I get thrown in. Because if the Jaguars are bad as I think they could be, that's another top 10 pick. And if you're the Browns and with the quarterback class that's coming out next year, that was a brilliant move by you. So I love that move for the Browns' sake of it. But I also don't hate the Jaguars saying, screw it, we're going all in. And we're going to go get a guy that we think can make a difference on the offensive side and the defensive side. So that I get where the Jaguars and Shad Khan are coming from.
Yeah, my only thing with Travis Hunter is if he plays both sides, I feel like injury is so possible, and I really hope that doesn't happen. But more games, tougher environment, like tougher, more physical players to play against, that's a lot to deal with, and that's kind of why the Browns are my winner, because they got, as you mentioned, a haul for that second pick, and they still fell back and got, I don't know, the best defensive line guy in the draft. So that's pretty good. And they, coming up in this round, could still get a very good quarterback.
Well, that's where one of my winners, and I figured one of us would bring it up, is the Browns also. Because, as you mentioned, not only did this draft haul they get, they're in control now of the second round. They got picked 33 and 36. They can take 33, and the two teams after them are the Texans and the Titans. Both Texans and Titans need wide receivers. So if they want to fell in love with one wide receiver at 33, they get him, and then they get their pick of Milroe or Shadur at 36.
Yep.
Guys, the Browns had a good draft.
Really good.
That is scary.
When is the last time we said that? Browns had a good draft? What?
Yeah, it is. And, of course, Mason Graham, a little biased.
Yeah, I'm sure there's no bias there.
He was honestly the safest pick in this draft. You know what the guy's going to give you. He's going to give you a pass rush. He's going to stuff the run. And he's just going to make those silent plays that seem a little bit louder. And anytime you can get help from Myles Garrett, that now he gets to look to the right of him or the left of him, and he gets to see Mason Graham lining up next to him, it's going to make him feel a little bit better. The best defensive end in football, is now getting better with help.
Wow.
I said sorry.
Ooh.
It should help.
If
Sorry.
we say so. But if we still want to run over a couple of winners, I would go the Giants. Abdul Carter is going to make that line insane. And then they still got a good quarterback in Jackson Dart. They obviously were looking at that position for sure going into this draft. I like Jackson Dart, and you really didn't go wrong with either of these picks, so I was impressed by them.
Ironically enough, so far, guys, we've named the two teams on my TWSN article that I just put out today. The Giants were the second team that came to my mind. Abdul Carter, Jackson Dart. You got that DN that you've been looking for, the pass rusher, the potential next Micah Parsons, Myles Garrett type, game-changing defensive end, which has been proven with the Eagles' Super Bowl victory, can make a difference. Then you turn around, and all you had to really give up was technically 2 third-round picks to get what you believe is your franchise quarterback. He doesn't have to rush. He can sit out a year. You let Winston and Wilson battle it out for 17 games, and then you say, okay, Jackson Dart, this is your team in 2027 or 2026. I love the move by the Giants, and I can't believe I said that, but it was a fantastic move both ways. Win now, win in the future. Very well done by the Giants.
Yeah. I'm a little more hesitant on the Jackson Dart pick in the first round, at least. I felt like that's a guy who could have fallen to the second round and was more.
He would not have fell to the second round.
Who would have gotten him?
There was multiple teams trying to trade up to get him.
Okay.
Jackson Dart was not going to the second round.
Okay.
And
so if you really think that's your guy, then sure. I just don't think that's their guy. personally.
I guess my thing is, if I ask you, if you think, by the way, Russell has 2 L's, even though he was the biggest loser in number 1 history. He just, the Raiders took the L for the other one. But no, if you believe that is your franchise quarterback, Colton, would you give up 2 third-round picks to get that guy?
If that was my franchise quarterback?
If you believed.
If I knew?
Like, if you believed. If you and your organization were pounding the desk and said, this is our guy, this is who we want to believe, and all you had to give up was 2 third-round picks.
Yes.
That's all they did.
Okay.
So that's what, and they have multiple third-round picks, by the way. So it's not like they lost a third-round pick.
That's
to forget
fair.
it. They have still 2 third-round picks in this draft. Next year they won't have one, but I love the move personally. Maybe Dart's not that guy, but if getting your guy for 2/3 easily. A move that I would make every day of the week.
Yeah, I personally think this had to happen from the Giants ownership for fumbling Saquon Barkley. Like, this was literally a message to the fans, like, guys, we still care. Please don't call for our heads. Like, you already are, but
It's just like Jackson Dart is not the guy that helps me sleep at night as a Giants fan. Like, I don't see that in him. I don't know.
that's your opinion.
Yeah, I guess.
But that's where, like, again, as fans, and especially the 4 of us, we don't deep dive into this stuff. So somebody in that room said he can be our franchise quarterback. And I'm assuming it would be the head coach, even if he is on the hot seat, said, I can win with this guy. He is the one who won with Josh Allen, who is – Jackson Dart could be a smaller version. He's mobile enough. He's stupid and he takes hits. If you can watch the John Gruden pre-draft episode.
John Gruden interview.
Dart and him sitting down and talk to each other. Gruden said, if you were my franchise quarterback and you're doing that, I'm benching you after one of those things. You got to learn to run out of bounds. And Dart even said, he's like, I realize that now. He's like, I got to stop taking these hits. They took a toll on my body last year. Had to miss some time. That almost cost them a game. So that he needs to work on. But I personally am okay with it. And I think his floor is Andy Dalton.
Okay. Yeah, we just got completely different ideas of Jackson Dart and what he is in the NFL. Because I'd say that's his ceiling to me.
For me, a team that I was going to pick as a winner, I want to throw out there the Carolina Panthers, Bryce Young and Ted McMillan. The Panthers finally got a number 1 wide receiver. Yes, Garrett, I know you love X. He is good, but I like him as a number 2 and Tet lining up outside. Yeah. That is 2 very large targets to get the football, and for the first time in, I don't know, since Steve Smith was in Carolina, the Panthers finally have a number 1 wide receiver that they believe is number 1, and they also said, Bryce Young, you are our guy. Here's some weapons.
Yeah, no,
I love it.
I wasn't gonna disagree with you. Like, Legette's good, but what Tetaroa did at college is incredible. So he's definitely gonna be the one there. I do remember I wasn't tuned into the draft at this point. I think I got there for the Cowboys pick. But I remember seeing that and going. My first immediate thought was like, "Aw, Legette." But
yeah, I got
good
that
for Tetaroa
jersey
too.
And,
Yep. That's a jersey that's in my closet.
That's all right. I got worse jerseys in my closet.
But you look at that wide receiver room now. You got Tet, you got Legette, and then you got Thielen. That's a solid 3 guys.
It's good.
They have a solid defense. The South is winnable because the Saints are garbage. They have literally 22 holes.
Falcons are Falcons.
Correct. And then the
Buccaneers are the
Bucs
toughest
team
challenge.
to beat. Yes, the Bucs are the team to beat. But the Bucs didn't get better last night, and that's going to be something I'm going to talk about a little bit later.
Okay.
That's interesting.
That's very interesting.
I'll go with my winner. Another winner I got. It's a pretty obvious one for me. Ashton Genty going to the Raiders. I think that's a winner for both sides. Garrett, you're a Seahawks fan. What does Pete Carroll like to do except for the most obvious play of all time?
I'm not going to answer that question, Colton.
What he likes to run. He likes to run the ball.
Except when he doesn't.
Except for the most obvious run play of all time. Anyways, Ashton Genty, he's pretty good at running the ball. He's a pretty solid running back, I would say.
He is.
Even has the dreads like Marshawn Lynch a little bit. Like, he's got that vibe to him. He's got that build to him. I like this pick. I think it's a nice fit. It's a great starting point for both Ashton Genty and the Pete Carroll era. God, that's weird to say for the Raiders, but yeah. So I like that pick. Love that pick.
So far, we're just picking names off my TWSN article. This is getting hilarious. But that was a loser for me. I'm not a fan of it because at pick 6,
you lost
I
money.
am not taking a running back. I'm not. It is 2025, so unless you can promise me he's Christian McCaffrey or Saquon Barkley, it's a bad pick.
Those were the only 2 running backs that were better than him. Those were the only 2.
I had Ashton.
Thank you,
What he does
Garrett.
in college and what he's going to do at the NFL level is 2 totally different things.
This was a grade for pre-combine. Shut up.
I'm telling you right now, the man is not a top 15 pick in 2025. I'm not taking a running back unless I'm promised Saquon Barkley, Christian McCaffrey. I don't see that in him.
Okay, when you drafted Saquon, when you drafted Christian McCaffrey, were you promised those players? Did you know
Barkley
they were going to do that?
Barkley got taken to number 2, and that was even hesitant on. It's a different game nowadays. Running backs grow on trees. The Bengals found their starting running back in what, the 4th round, the 5th round? Like they just, you can find them anywhere.
Chase Brown was no Astringenti. I'm sorry.
Yeah, it's like we're comparing.
We're
Like,
comparing apples to oranges right here.
You're not
Bob.
even
We are.
guaranteed McCaffrey right now, and you'd still take him. So I feel like that argument doesn't really make much sense.
yeah.
Yeah.
I would have got an offensive lineman to protect Geno Smith, or I would have drafted Tet in order to give him a true number 1 wide receiver. Can anyone tell me who the wide receiver is outside Jacoby Myers? Don't say Brock Bowers. He plays tight end.
Well, we can't.
Brock Bowers
I don't
and-
think any of us are pretending the Raiders have a good roster.
But that
We're
kind
just
of
saying.
taking Ashton Dente is a win now kind of move. Trading for Geno Smith is a win now kind of move. They're going all in with these kind of moves. You don't hire Pete Carroll to be building for another 3 years. The man's 70 freaking years old.
I would
It's a bad
argue
pick.
it's not to win this year. It's to set yourself up for next year. What can you do in the next draft? What can you do with maybe a little more cap space?
Not a fan of the pick. I'm
You
not.
made that very clear.
Alex, go ahead.
I really was thrown off by that for sure, but want to hear why you think the Bucks did not get better last night.
Yes,
That's what I want to hear.
I do.
Okay, so the Bucks have 3 wide receivers already.
Indeed.
And Mike Evans, Jalen McMillan, and Chris Godwin. They just paid Chris Godwin to come back. Jalen McMillan is in his rookie year deal, only a sophomore, or only in his 2nd year. And Mike Evans, yes, is getting older. I love Ibuka. Everyone who ever talked to me coming to this draft, I thought he was the best wide receiver in the draft. But you can't line up 4 wide receivers out there. It's just not going to happen in 2025. So what's he going to do? Be sitting in the bench all year? That did nothing to win now. And for a Bucks team that has so many holes on their defense, they needed to go get a defender. Some way, somehow. Whether it was Harmon from Oregon, who I'm going to mention again a little bit later on. Hint, hint. Campbell from Alabama, the linebacker, or even Starks in the safety. Starks and Winfield teaming up together in the back or in the back end of that secondary. Any cornerback. The Bucks defense has way more holes. I look at the Bucks and they're not as bad as the Bengals. Let me stop that there. But they are getting built like the Bengals. They're putting all their chips on their offense and saying, we're going to score 80. Well, they're going to give up 81. That's why I'm not a fan.
I actually wholeheartedly agree with Josh on that one.
Okay, my only logic behind this is I think you go best fit if you can compete for a championship. I think you go best available if you can't. The Bucks are not competing for a championship right now.
Who's to say that, though, in the NFC? I mean, if they can fix that defense, that offense can score with any
They
of the
were a
teams.
good defense. They're a good defense away from being the Commanders, in my opinion.
I mean, maybe, but I still don't think they're getting past the top dogs in the NFC. That's just like past the.
But
Maybe not the
what top
Eagles.
dogs are left? Because there's only 2 top dogs in my mind in the NFC off the top of my head that I would have to obviously dig deeper. But it's the Eagles and the Commanders, and then there's a gap right now. Because the Niners look like they're completely rebuilding.
Right.
The Rams are kind of going all in with their moves.
The
but
Rams could be there, but we have to see it. They float from year to year.
yeah, Cardinals, Seahawks. The NFC South we already ran through is basically it's the Bucks to win. Like that is the Bucks should win that division, which guarantees you a home game by the way. And then in the East, I already went through the 2 Cowboys. What is it? Zootopia has a better chance of winning the Super Bowl, or I mean, winning the Oscar than the Cowboys do a Super Bowl right now. Okay, and then who's the 4th team in the East?
In the East, that would be the Giants.
Yeah, okay. and then okay, you know what?
I was about to say you
North.
completely
There is
slandered
like
the Lions.
best division in the NFL.
I was gonna wait. Yeah.
You know, you got the
Like a
Lions.
The Lions are up there. I'm iffy on the Packers.
They gotta
I
win
need
a
to see
playoff
what Jordan
game.
Love. I know I'm a believer in JJ McCarthy, but I'm the only one on the panel who is that.
Yes, you are.
The Bears may take a step forward, but I still see the Bears being like a season or two away. I think the the Buccaneers absolutely could be the second best team if they were to fix their defense.
I was thinking the Eagles, the Lions, and the Packers were better than them. But anyways, my whole point is the uncertainty that you kind of mentioned in the offense, and Mike Evans is probably on his way out pretty soon, and Godwin just had a terrible injury, so who knows how he comes back. So to have the best available receiver, I think you got to make that pick.
Yeah,
Was there another Godwin injury that I missed?
Just earlier.
Or is the one that he came back from?
He came back towards the end, but it wasn't like, as far as I know, like he was out. Wasn't he out the whole end of the year?
Thought
They
so,
didn't bring
yeah,
him back, right?
yeah. No, they throttled him down. He was out the rest of the year.
Okay, I thought he was back for the playoff.
No,
game.
like when I saw this pick, my first immediate thought was, oh no, Chris Godwin, because this to me, like you already have Mike Evans, Chris Godwin, and Jalen McMillan showed flashes last year. So when they picked Emeka Egbuka, this was me saying, oh no, the Buccaneers think that Chris Godwin is not going to be able to come back and have the same production he did.
But then why would you pay him?
Because he's played 7 years for them, and they're probably just going to throw him some pity money for playing for him for 7 years.
I don't know if it was pity money. I'm gonna look up his contract. You can keep talking.
Okay. I mean, that was kind of my only analysis on it. Was just like they think that Chris Godwin can't come back and be the same Chris Godwin, and so that's why they went with Egbuka here.
Garrett, you don't offer somebody a 3-year deal.
That was a 3-year deal.
Yeah.
I was unaware that they had repaid him.
Yeah, they literally just extended him, like I said, this offseason. So that's why I'm like, it doesn't make sense unless they think Mike Evans is gone. Or maybe they're saw something out of Godwin in camp already when you're not supposed to be working out, but you're working out, and they're like, hey, we're just going to trade Godwin away. I mean, that could be a possibility. You signed him, and you can still trade him, technically, I believe, once July 1st hits and the new season is underway. But I don't know. I can't get there. I wouldn't say it was a loser. For me, it would have been more. It was more of what the WTF. Like that's what I thought.
Speaking of losers, though,
yeah,
I wasn't going to go there. I was just going to say
okay.
like what we don't have to go there yet. That's supposed to be the next segment.
Mm-hmm.
What are some losers outside the team that originally came to your mind that you have in this draft?
We just spoke on my top 2, and the third one we're going to talk about a little bit later. I don't want to talk about them, but we're going to talk about them. But I'm going to actually throw it out. We just talked about a team, the LA Rams. I'm not a fan of continuing to trade your first round draft picks. They've made 1 pick since they hired Sean McVay in the first round, and they did pretty damn good in Jared Verse. Last time I checked, defensive rookie of the year.
Decent player.
But that's the only first round pick they've ever used. Your team's getting older, and it's stupid.
Is it?
I mean,
Stafford is.
Stafford's older, and Nakua's already talking retirement, if you've listened to him.
No, I have not.
Nakua's already talking retirement. He's like, he doesn't want to play in the league long, this and that. It's not like Devontae Adams is that young. You brought him on.
I was
your
thinking
defense has gotten younger, but your offense is pretty
defense
old.
is pretty young. That's crazy from Nakua. But also, like, Jimmy Butler, Kevin Durant, one of the two, said they would be done by 32, and they're still kicking. So
That's true.
But I guess my thought process is, and this is just me assessing off of what we've heard about things. If you're sitting there, and Shedeur Sanders was sitting there, what does that say about Shedeur? Because the Rams, he could have sat behind Stafford for a year. Maybe even 2 if Stafford really wants to be around that long. And then you bring in Sanders. I know they just finally paid Matthew Stafford, but I was just thinking of the future. Sanders would have made a better pick. They now have 2 picks next year in the draft, so I can't wait to figure out how they're going to trade both of those away. But I scratch my head at completely bailing on that, or even getting better on your young defense. Getting Verse some help and Fisk some help.
The thing about the Rams is they'll just find a 3rd-round gem, and why have a 1st-round pick? Get some value out of the 1st-round pick. I get that. I get your point. Any other losers, Alex or Garrett?
I mean, the only loser is my team, in my opinion.
Glad we both are in agreement.
don't
on,
see-
on
So
our
we're gonna
team.
start talking our teams. 'Cause I actually
Gary,
wanna
you got
talk about
anything
yours.
more?
I don't have anything off the top of my head.
Yeah. Let's start with the
Go ahead, and you
Steelers.
can talk with your team first.
Yeah. Okay. The Steelers are maybe the best organization at overlooking quarterback talent when you need it the most. They did it at the end of Ben Roethlisberger's career. They're doing it now since they have a 42-year-old caveman who may want the job.
Last night has proven he's coming.
Yeah, I love it so much. It's good. Like, Derek Hartman is great, and he's going to be Hayward's replacement. That's great. The most important position in football will always be quarterback. That is something you can't look over. And when you have a top 2 quarterback talent in the draft fall to you at 21, you can't pass that up. It makes no sense. And they passed up on the opportunity to draft Lamar when Ben was at the end of his career. I could go on, but it's just ineptitude.
2025 NFL Draft first-round winner, Pittsburgh Steelers and Derek Hartman. I think it was a fantastic pick.
Okay.
What is the Steelers built on?
Defense
the
for
tradition.
sure. Defense for sure.
And you now get a guy with Harmon's talent that people were always talking about. Maybe he doesn't have as much edge as needed. And he gets to learn from one of the greatest to ever do his position. He literally gets to follow right in Hayward's footsteps. Hayward gets to mentor him for a year, maybe 2. This is probably it. Let's be honest. He's 35 years old. That's a lot of bang on your body. Next stop, Canton. But he gets to learn from Hayward and then take over. I love the pick, man. I get you want Shedeur. I totally understand that. But with a franchise that has not been able to find that next quarterback, I mean, I think I talked about it before. They've drafted like 8 quarterbacks since Big Ben had come into the league. Mind you, most of these were all meant to just be backups, so it's not big. None of them really hit. Joshua Dobbs is probably the best one they had.
Well, I mean, Justin Fields and Russell Wilson would have been good to hold you over until you wanted to draft your franchise guy, but they decided not to pay either one of them.
One is very head scratching. If I would have had Fields and I traded a pick for Fields, I would have kept Fields at least for one more year.
Exactly.
But Fields wanted the guaranteed starting spot. That's why he's not back in Pittsburgh. All that to be said, though, I like that pick. I think they made the right pick for what they believe. Pittsburgh doesn't like the drama, doesn't like the high, not off field issues, but like the
Attention.
I guess, attention-seeking players.
Very
Like that's
The
Mike
lights.
Tomlin has had enough of that with AB and Le'Veon Bell in his career.
Very
That literally lasted him a lifetime.
Soon to be Pickens.
The circus that comes with Shedeur Sanders. Somebody described it. Shedeur Sanders is literally just Tim Tebow, but with crazier attention-seeking abilities. Some people
And
don't
a
see.
better arm.
Some people don't see him as an NFL talent, and clearly, 32 teams last night said he's not a first-round draft pick. Will he go today? Absolutely. He'll probably be one of the first names off the board. But
Put you on the spot. Who do you think?
I think the Browns take him
For sure.
from what we were already told by a certain individual. Burton's going to go 33, and then Shedeur is going to go 36. How does he rebound from all this? That's a lot of crap that he's been talked about. Like, can Shedeur put it past him? Who knows? But I just circle everything back around.
Can I?
It was a Steelers move, and I like it for the Steelers.
Can I just say, I get like the circus around Shedeur, but I feel like he can have like a mentality somewhat like Lamar. I mean, I would say a lot. I mean, Lamar is obviously just an outstanding player, but I think a lot of it is his mentality and the way he was able to take being passed up so much. He had always had that chip on his shoulder, and I feel like having Deion Sanders as your dad, I feel like he definitely instilled like a similar mindset in Shedeur. And I think having an event like this is the exact slap in the face that could fuel him to maybe push to the next level. Because there's no doubt he's talented. There's no question about it. We just always question, is he always putting in the work? Is he always going to be that starting QB, that franchise QB that you need? I think this is probably the best case scenario long term for Sanders' career. He doesn't need the money. He got the money in college. He doesn't need that first round money.
I guess the circus that would come with it, and you can probably answer this better because you're in the weeds of everything. How hot is Tomlin's seat?
I don't think very until he has a losing season.
How hot would it be if he
completely
had
honest.
Deion Sanders' son as quarterback, and Deion Sanders is floating around there as the next head coach of the Pittsburgh Steelers?
Hello.
Still not very, I don't think.
Because I think that is also going to hurt Shedeur in this whole long run. Is if the Browns were to draft him, Kevin Stefanski, who is on the hot seat, that entire fan base is going to be yelling for Prime to be the next head coach in Cleveland.
But we can all agree those are definitely two different structural organizations.
Correct.
One's laughable. The other actually has, a history.
And that's why I believe that the Steelers made the right move last night.
My only problem with that is they always go with this facade of a defensive draft, and consistently the only part of the defense that is good is the front four. Sometimes
What position does
sometimes the front eight. He is very good. Yeah, I'd never argue that I never argue that he's going to be great. But the most important position is quarterback. You need a quarterback. You had great talent there. Why would you take him?
Just get ready to speak California, buddy. That's all I got to say. Aaron Rodgers.
Does Rodgers even speak California anymore, or is it
just cave talk?
Is it just Rodgers now?
Hieroglyphics.
All right. Anything else you want to throw out there
before Payne?
I think that was my really only loser. Yeah.
So, with the Steelers, though, now you're looking at the possibility Milroe, Shadur. Now, if Shadur was there when you pick again, I give you permission to snap and.
Oh, yeah.
I will fly you to Pittsburgh.
I was about to say, I will be at Green Bay, wherever that draft is. They will hear from me.
Yeah. Milroe now has to be in the back of your mind, right?
For sure, yeah.
If somehow maybe get up there, get him. So we got to talk about him?
I'll just let you start.
You're wearing the shirt, dude.
Yeah. So the other team that we all obviously cheer for, yeah.
Who's
so
we? Alex
we.
Yeah,
we speak French
him,
now.
Not him. Yeah. So Shamar Stewart, defensive end, Texas A&M.
Hold on. Say something positive about him before we get into.
He plays defense.
That is good. You all need that.
No, he is a genetic freak. Like a 10 perfect score of a 10 on the RAS. Like, and when you picture I want a defensive end, that is this human being. He is extremely physically defined of what you want as a defensive end. But you have to play the game of football. In order to play the game of football at the DN position, you're supposed to get sacks and you're supposed to stop the run.
And how many did he have in his career?
4.5. By the way, one of those was versus Bowling Green State. Sorry, Garrett, not to criticize your college football team. And the other was versus Sam Houston State. He had like a half a sack versus Florida, half a sack versus Auburn. I think he had a full sack versus another SEC team. But literally, out of his 4.5 sacks, 2.5 were only versus the SEC. The other were versus crap programs. But I you hit with that. By the way, that was over 5. Let's see. Hold on.
Oh, it was 5?
Hold on. No. 4.5 sacks over 680 pass rushing attempts.
Oh, okay.
Oh, and you want to hear another thing good? He did lead college football last year in pressure. He had 39. But the problem is I don't want you just to pressure the quarterback. You got to get to him. You got to get your hands on him. You got to find a way to take him to the ground. We literally have pissed off the best player in the NFL last year at doing that, and we don't know what's happening in that circus, so don't get me started there. But then I heard, okay, so he's got decided to move inside. Like, was this Sam Hubbard replacement. Cool, whatever. If you can play a little bit inside, this sounds great. In run defense, he tallied only 21 career stops and 575 snaps. 3.5%. I saw this tweet, and I'm very ashamed that I didn't save it. The tweet literally described this perfectly. Eventually, you have to start drafting players who are good at football. Not just genetic freaks, good at football. What the Bengals did last night was drafted a running back who had 400 yards career rushing in his college career and said just because he's a genetic freak, he can play running back. It doesn't work for the Bengals. If this was the Steelers or the Ravens or the Eagles or the Chiefs, okay. It doesn't work for the Bengals. You need someone who can help you right now. You are trying to win a Super Bowl. Joe Burrow getting a year older. T, a year older. Jamar, a year older. This team isn't doing crap. They're the third best team on paper in the AFC North. And get this, guys, the Browns are coming, so they may be fourth.
I did not know those college stats, and I understand why y'all were crashing out in the group chat now.
Yeah.
That's rough. So maybe offense is the answer to draft instead of worrying about a defense that assholes. That's rough. Sorry about it.
So what I think happened last night, and I watched it happen before. When the Bengals drafted Billy Price, they wanted Frank Ragnow. Frank Ragnow went 2 picks before them, and they're like, okay, we got to get a center who plays a position. This is who we got to get. Walter Nolan went to pick before the Bengals last night. Mm-hmm. Bengals went, crap.
Yep.
And then just grabbed the next guy.
Yep.
Instead of looking at their board and seeing, okay, here we go. We can probably trade down and get Stewart, because I don't think anybody was going to take him. Maybe get a pick or two, because you only got 6 of them. No. Okay, so that's fine. Oh, Derek Harmon to bring that guy up. Yeah, he's pretty good at, stuffing the run and getting to the quarterback and just being a big body in space. That sure would be nice to have. Nope, we didn't take him. Or, James Pierce, who produced very well, but is your undersized defensive end pass rusher. Try something new. This doesn't work. I've seen them do it before. Oh, by the way, out of all these production numbers that I said in college football, can you tell me who the next closest number, comparable player is to his numbers in college?
No idea.
Anybody want to take a guess?
I don't care.
Miles Murphy. We drafted Miles Murphy. Anybody want to tell me how that's worked?
So I'm feeling better about the Derek Harmon pick.
I came into this so positive, but on the combine, when they did the measurables and everything, I have a group chat with 2 of my best friends, and we were sitting there and we were talking about it, and I said the Bengals are going to fall in love with this guy. Anyone want to guess how many times the Bengals actually sat down and talked to him?
He told us 0.
0. We don't even know if this guy's got a good character. We're just going to go off rep. We're not going to sit down and talk to this guy? What are we doing? Hey, we got 5 more picks, though. Maybe we can fix other holes.
So how would you do that?
Somebody else take this over before I lose my mind.
I had a lot I wanted to say. However, Josh, you just said it all in the more. I mean, I just this organization works backwards, man. And what's it all come back to? How many scouts do we have?
8.
Wow, that's more than I thought. I thought it was,
I thought we had 4.
Yeah, I thought we had 4. We doubled the amount of scouts we had since the last time I heard. I don't know, man. It's just all we can hope for now is that by some magical force, no will, no nothing, this just all works out, because by logic, it's just not going to work out. It's just not. I don't know. Outside of Trey Hendrickson, we struggled at pressuring the quarterback.
They didn't draft him, by the way, either. They actually had to sign Trey Hendrickson because the Bengals can't draft the ends.
I was aware of that fact. Thanks for making sure everybody knew about that. Anyway, so we have the sack king. We're not sure if we really want him that bad or not. Why would we want the best guy getting the quarterback when our struggle outside of him was to get to the quarterback? Yeah, I don't know. It didn't necessarily have to be a lineman for me. I think that is where we need improvement, but it had to be pretty well anybody but this. I personally think.
No, I mean that's it. He doesn't help day one. He's literally the definition of a project. He could be looking like a top 10 quarter. I mean, the man is built like Myles Garrett. He is a genetic freak. But it's just I need someone who's helping me win now. It is a Super Bowl window now. You paid your offense to win now.
And even if in theory we didn't have to win now, which we do, I'm just saying, when has that worked for us in the past 5 years? What prospect have we drafted on the defensive end that has worked out for us? Because Cam Taylor shit was apparently the one that was going to figure it out this year, and we saw how that worked. Not at all. Not at
And then
all.
one more person I wanted to throw out there that they could have drafted. If for some reason they didn't want to go defense, because you asked me this last week, I believe, would I be upset if the Bengals don't go defense in the first round? And I said no. I would want a guard in order to protect Joe Burrow. Right now, Cody Ford is possibly our starting left guard. Anyone who knows football knows Cody Ford is not a good left guard. He is a good swingman. He is good. I can put you where you need to be, but you don't need to be starting left guard. And right now, the starting right guard is a dude who they signed from New Orleans, who I can't even lapse my mind, that couldn't even start in New Orleans, but he's going to apparently start to protect Joe Burrow. Ted Karras is a year older. Josh Simmons was there, who ended up falling to, surprise, surprise, the freaking Kansas City Chiefs. Plays guard, played tackle, big body, would have been a day one starter. Didn't take him either. I can't imagine having. I want to be the fly in the room, in the wall, and just understand who is making this decision. Because there's only one thing that hasn't changed over the last decade, and it's Duke Tobin. He's got to go. I'm back on that train. Get that man out of here.
I'll also add the one thing I noticed, and that really, like, I didn't know much about. I already forgot his name. Freaking Shamar Stewart. I didn't know much about him, and so I was like, oh, I wonder what the reaction in the room's going to be from everybody. Very just, shake hands, little claps, like, a couple picks before that, I think it might have just been the Cardinals. Like, those guys were going crazy, cheering, excited for a 16th pick. I was like, they love that guy. They're ready for that guy.
Well, that's because Walter Nolan is a dog.
This is true. And that might have been the reaction we got for Nolan, but not the reaction we got for Shamar Stewart whatsoever. And that told me right away, like, we messed up.
I mean, if it makes you all feel better, Cody Ford is exceptional at making TikToks, and that is just what you look for in an offensive lineman.
I'm going to hurt him. It's going to happen before the show's over. One last thing. We'll just move ahead. Is there anybody you're looking forward to later in the rounds or anything like that? Obviously, we talked about it previously, but for me, it's Will Johnson. The man was projected possibly a top 5 pick, number 1 cornerback off the board. There's some knee issues that people were worried about his long-term effect of what could happen, but I knew it was bad when he was sitting at 22 and when the Chargers said, hey, we don't want this guy. If Harbaugh, who recruited him, he was the number 1 cornerback on a team to win a national championship. He was a team leader, team captain, and Harbaugh's like, hey, we're not going to take him at 22. Something tells me that knee might be a lot worse. So I'm interested to see now at round 2 who takes a chance on him.
For me, please let there be a good quarterback in the 3rd round. I'd like a good running back because Jalen Warren's probably going to get injured. So any of the Ohio State running backs or Scatterboo would be nice because I'm sure they'll be there at that point. And then Xavier Watts because we need another safety. But those are the people I'm really looking at. I'm sure Pittsburgh won't draft any of them, though.
Yeah, quarterback-wise.
Yeah.
You ready for Will Howard, bro?
It's great. It's great.
Get ready to speak Will Howard.
Shedeur? No. Will Howard? Absolutely. Any of them over Aaron Rodgers. So let me make myself clear. Any of them.
You got anybody else you're looking forward to, or is that it?
No, I think that's it. I'm curious to see how the rest of this draft goes, though.
Yeah.
I had one.
Okay.
I was a bit surprised to see Trey Amos slip out of the first round, cornerback from Ole Miss. I watched some of him. I watched him play when he was at Ole Miss. He was very good, big lockdown corner kind of guy. I thought for sure that he might go to the Bills, but they ended up going with Hairston, the other really good corner in this draft. So either way, somebody's going to get a really good cornerback in the first half of the 2nd round.
All right.
They're going to fly off the board here.
Quarterbacks.
There's Johnson, Revel, Amos, and Morrison. All I expect to be gone in the first half of the draft, which is fine for the Bengals because they weren't going to take a cornerback, so get them off our boards.
Yeah, fair enough.
Oh, and I'm calling my shot already. Everybody knows it's the least hidden secret, or what's the wording for that?
Least hidden secret.
Okay, the Bengals.
Worst kept secret.
Worst kept secret. Yeah. Thank you. Tate Retledge is going to be the Bengals' 2nd round pick if he's available. He's a guard out of Georgia. They've fallen in love with him. Everyone's saying it. So it's just who just picks him in front of him. I mean, he's an offensive lineman to protect Joe Burrow and a day 1 starter. I'm full cool with it.
Right.
Mm-hmm. Protect JB9 somehow.
Please. since we won't play defense very well.
All right, you guys talk some basketball.
No winner circle.
Oh yeah, that would be important too.
All right. You don't want to start? Garrett, you start winner circle.
Oh God, you want me to start?
Yeah,
I don't know. I got
it's a lot.
baseball, so
Yeah, go ahead.
you want me to start? All right.
Yeah, go right ahead.
You know the name Francisco Lindor?
He good.
Heard
yeah,
of that
he's-
guy. Heard of that fella.
He's pretty good.
Solid player.
Frankie Lindor is going nuts right now. Historically, he's been a slow starter to the season, but this season just feels a little bit different. He had a really rough first series, and then he had a conversation with a hitting coach who basically said, "You're a star. Everyone knows you're a star. Just go do star things." And since then has been absolutely raking. I won't bore you with the stats. Just know that he's been integral to the Mets' 7-game winning streak, which includes a sweep of division rival Philadelphia Phillies and has the Mets at the top of baseball with an 18-7 record over those Dodgers and Padres. Currently, I won't say currently, over the past calendar year, so starting from here going backwards a year, Lindor has amassed 8.8 WAR. That's the most in the NL and only behind Aaron Judge and Bobby Witt Jr. He's playing at MVP levels. He may end up, if he keeps this up, he may end up swiping it away from Shohei, who I thought signed a contract to win it every year for the next decade. So go Frankie, go. Just propel the Mets to stardom. I think baseball's better when the Mets are better.
I don't like that
The
part.
Mets, baby, the Mets, baby, the Mets, baby, the Mets.
Let's go Mets, baby. Come on.
New York fans deserve nothing but pain.
It's all right. Just Yankees fans.
For me, winner's circle, I'm going to go ahead and just give it to NKU Baseball, who has now ran off 6 straight victories.
Hey.
After a win today, they got the weekend series looking to get the revenge on Oakland and keep it running. So go ahead and give me Norse Baseball.
No way.
For me, it's Aaron Rodgers who gets to play a year of NFL quarterback at 42 years old because one organization doesn't know how to draft. That's all.
He's so hurt.
That's all.
Well, at least you have a defense of line. I mean,
That's it.
Garrett, you kind of took mine, but you didn't. I was going with the Mets, baby, the Mets, baby, the Mets,
Okay.
as they swept the Phillies and have absolutely taken off in the NL not wild card race, but just NL playoff race. After sweeping the Phillies, also sweeping the Cardinals in a 4-game series.
Lindy had a walk-off in that series, too.
He did, in fact, hit a walk-off, and then now winning. They're on 2 straight, if I'm reading this correctly. So going up against the Nats this weekend. Yeah, Nats this weekend. That could be probably another 3 wins. Like, this team might be 21-7 by the end of the weekend, and they're looking absolutely scary. The pitching was their big question mark going in the season. And that looks absolutely scary. The batting, I mean, Pete Alonso, Lindor, like you said, and they picked up Juan Soto,
Who hasn't even been going
who
yet.
hasn't even been raking yet. Pete Alonso has been raking though.
Mm-hmm. He started to get hot.
Polar bear.
Yeah, the polar bear is getting hot, and oh wait a minute. Anyways,
I think that's bad.
yeah, this team is scary, and if we were to stop right now and say, hey, who do you think's going to make the World Series, I would have to say the Mets out of the NL or AL, whichever one they're in. I'm still learning that part.
NL East.
Okay, there you go. All right, so that's all of that. Garrett, how much time we got left over there?
Probably got another 10 minutes, maybe 15.
Okay, yep, I figured we went a little over the schedule on that.
Did a little bit.
Josh, you talked about NKU sports, so we'll go ahead and do you have something quick to say about softball?
I did actually not get to look up softball. I was about to do that
Okay.
now that I
All
can
right,
look up.
if
They were winning
you look
today,
up
though.
now, me and Alex will talk about the playoffs a little bit. We'll get a chance to talk about that a little more, I guess, down the line. Where do we start?
That's a great question.
It's been quite the first round. I guess we could kind of start with the easy ones. The Celtics currently lead 2-0. They play tonight against the Magic to probably make that a 3-0 series. The Cavs also are up 2-0, likely going to make that a 3-0 series. They play tonight, or is that tomorrow?
Tomorrow, I think.
Okay. So, Cavs have looked pretty well a step ahead of the Heat. Heat might steal a game. Magic might steal a game on the Celtics. Thunder, Grizzlies. Grizzlies had their chance to steal a game. Blew a 29-point lead.
29, yeah. At home.
29-point lead. Ja Morant went out in the second half. Grizzlies, you are dead. This is what happens when you fire your coach in the middle of the season.
Okay, hold on. They blew that game because Ja got hurt, though, right? Ja didn't come back in, kind of thing.
He didn't.
If you blow a game by 29,
nope, just gonna say Ja got hurt. Okay,
if that helps you cope for saying this team would actually beat the Thunder,
they would if Ja didn't get hurt, and I can now use that as my excuse.
Ja was there.
I was looking for an excuse, and like, come on, yeah.
No,
they were up 29 when Ja was on the court. Ja got hurt.
They were already down.
Copium.
Admitting to copium is crazy.
131 to 80. If you were to put that 29-point lead they had in the game against the Thunder, they would still be down by 20 points.
Did or did they not lose a 29-point lead without Ja Morant? I win. I rest my case.
They did do that.
You cannot talk me out of
technically.
this.
Bro,
Can't do it. I don't care.
You are just talking to a brick wall at this point.
Yeah, I mean, that's usually what you do when you're trying to talk to me. I don't listen.
Okay. Yeah, you sure don't.
There's a brick wall right here. I don't know what you're talking about.
However, there are some outstanding series going on outside of those. First and foremost, last night, Clippers Nuggets. The first game that wasn't really close, but those first two were absolute cinema. I'm sure the rest of them will be absolute cinema. But that arena, the name is slipping my mind right now. I keep on wanting to say Truist, but
Truist Arena.
yeah.
Truist threw me off so much. Intuit
Arena. The Intuit Arena. That place is rocking. That wasn't even a sold out crowd, but that place was rocking.
It's the best arena in sports.
And it's a scary sight for the Nuggets to see. Kawhi is absolutely hooping.
a machine.
Absolute machine. And Zubac is
He's a
absolutely giving Jokic nightmares. I mean, nightmares.
Which didn't one of you call that he would be able to kind of at least keep him? Was it you?
I don't want to toot my own horn, but yeah, I do think I
remember
said
one of y'all mentioned
he would at least be able to contain
I know
him
I
for
said
sure.
it to somebody.
Yeah.
I can't remember if it was on here or where it was.
But yeah, Kawhi's been a machine. 22, 39, and then 21, 11, and 6. He's been a machine. He's back.
James Harden too. You can't go without saying him. Just his ability to shake things up and get to the rim just on a whim. Like he looks. They both are playing at the highest level we've seen them since their primes. And I won't go out to say prime, but they're definitely just right there. They're absolutely a threat to the Thunder when we get there. But they still got to beat the Nuggets first, I'm sure. But this is where you have that new head coach that you fired your old head coach. You know, it'd be nice to have an experienced one right now, wouldn't it? How is he going to bounce back? He doesn't have that experience of, if I go this way, this tends to happen, or this way, and make these adjustments. That's just the stupidity of firing your head coach. They had 10 winning seasons with 6 games to go in the season.
Hopefully he was paying attention to the huddles. That's all I got to say.
Yeah, exactly. But yeah, let's hear about your series.
The Lakers 1-1. The first game was terrible. The worst 3-point defense I think I've ever seen in a playoff game ever. The Timberwolves made 21 threes, if anybody was wondering. That's a lot. Luka is saving us. He's averaging 34, 10, and 5 in the series so far. So hopefully he can keep that up because the rest of the team hasn't looked special. But I think we figured some things out. Obviously, LeBron got that fill-out game or whatever you want to call it out of the way in Game 1. He looked a whole lot better in Game 2. So it hasn't been pretty, but the series is tied, and that's about all you can ask for after Game 1 for sure.
Yeah. Just not having that 2-0 deficit going on the road is definitely huge. I'll be honest, those are usually the late night games, so I have not been able to tune into a game. So I don't have much to comment on how that series is looking, but I will finally get to watch it tonight, so I'm excited for that.
Talk Pacers.
I don't have much to say. Great start. Long series left to go.
I did want to touch on the Magic if we have some time because they still don't have offense. They're averaging 93 points a game in this series. 116 of the 186 points have come from Paolo or Franz.
Half of them probably Paolo in that
That's
first game.
not good.
No.
So they obviously signed KCP, as I've talked about many times. Wasn't really the solution that they needed. So they have to figure something out this offseason because they're about to be quickly probably swept.
Yeah.
Could they land Devin Booker? Do they have enough?
That would be a nice landing spot for him.
That would be, but I don't know if they have
got
enough.
some pieces. I could see it, but I wouldn't count on it.
it was just because, I mean, again, I always bring up the Suns because I just feel like there's going to be trade pieces there and they're going to blow it up. So if you're going to blow it up and you're going to have to eventually get draft picks and stuff like that, a young team that has a young core, maybe like a Cole Anthony in return, along with, would you force the Franz Wagner? Like, would you be like, we need Franz with it? Because they're not giving up Paulo, clearly.
But I'm getting a star or
not.
many draft picks for Devin Booker.
Yeah.
You're not going to get a washed up, old, broken power forward?
No.
Oh, okay. Just questions.
Interesting.
Another thing I did want to bring up, moving to another team, the Warriors. Are we more worried about the Warriors' offense or Jimmy Butler's injury?
Jimmy Butler.
Butler's injury. I think if Jimmy Butler is there, they can figure out a way. If not, they could probably still figure out a way because they got Stephen Curry, but it's a lot harder.
But the Warriors have only scored 95 or less in the games that they've played so far in the series. So something I did not expect to say coming into the series is they're struggling on offense mightily. So I think I would be more worried about that, honestly.
It's the absence of like a Klay Thompson figure, I feel like, because Jimmy is an outstanding player, but he's not really that Klay Thompson in terms of how he fits the scheme. Probably, I mean, he's a better player, but he need that second guy. He needs that second splash, bro. And
for
it'd be nice to have Jordan Poole right about now, wouldn't you think?
I would say so.
That's what a lot of people are saying. I do want to quickly circle back to my Pacers and just say that Andrew Nembhard will be the Jalen Brunson of our team. I've said that in the group chat. Just want to put it out there in the world for the people to hear. He will be the Jalen Brunson. He will go somewhere, maybe not All NBA, but around All NBA and All Star player. But last two series to wrap up here, or I guess we said Warriors and Rockets. That series is tied at 1-1. They play in Golden State. That'll be a Rock and Chase Arena. So that hopefully, or I'm not really rooting for the Warriors, but that will likely get them maybe scoring some more points at home field.
And I hope Jimmy's at least healthy just to make it a fun series.
Absolutely. And then the other one is the Knicks and the Pistons, and that has been a great series as well. The last game came down to 2 points. Knicks had it. Pistons were just kind of coming back there at the end, but they had a chance. Cade Cunningham went off in game 2. He's been good in all 3 games, but I was talking to a buddy, and he said Tom Thibodeau is going to give Cade Cunningham nightmares. I think it's the other way around. I think Cade Cunningham is giving Tom Thibodeau nightmares and this Knicks team. However, the big issue is Tobias Harris is doing the best he can. I know a lot of people have put a lot of hate to him.
I wonder who.
He's doing the best he can, but him trying to guard Cat is an absolutely unfair matchup for him. And you're just not going to win the series if that's the case. You got to stop switching on the Cat. You got to get Paul Reed or Jalen Duren at least some more size on him if that can even stop him. Cat has been really, honestly, without Cat, they might not have this 2-1 lead.
That's a good point. And you mentioned it with Cade. He may not be scoring well, which he has figured out the last 2 games. I feel like didn't have a great game in scoring-wise in the first one, but even if he's not, he's getting double-digit rebounds or double-digit assists.
He's affecting the game other ways. That's what the best players do.
And Cat has been fantastic. Obviously, a move that they should have made that looks like it's paid off. So good for them. Hopefully their role players can start playing a little better because they're not playing as well as I think the Knicks organization had hoped.
Yeah, outside of the first game where campaign is essentially why they have this 2-1 lead. But, yeah, outside of that, outside of campaign, their role players have been – which is, like, it's just surprising that they're playing in the first place.
That's fair, yeah.
Typically they're not playing as much. So it'll be curious to see how that all works out, but we'll have to talk about that a little later on. Josh, you have some softball news to talk about?
So NKU softball unfortunately collapsed late to drop the series opener today versus Purdue Fort Wayne. They now moved to 21-22 on the season, 11-7 in Horizon League play, which is good still for third place, and only 4 games behind Cleveland State. So it's still within arm's reach, it's still within the vision that they could possibly win the conference and pull something out. Just tough loss when you lose this late because throughout the day we were kind of trying to keep updated on it and letting the listeners know what was going on, and they just unfortunately dropped one that they probably shouldn't let get away.
Yeah, we know a lot about that as Reds fans, so there's still time, and like we always say here, is just a couple days in March for basketball, in the postseason for baseball and all those other sports. So absolutely cannot count them out and making a run to the tournament. But I'm assuming we are getting close to the that alarm going off. But do we have any time to talk about baseball? Do you want to get a 2 cents in on the Reds? Garrett actively making sure we can't talk about the Reds. So
they're
Reds
sitting at
baseball.
12-13 right now. They've definitely just dropped games versus the Marlins. They cannot lose if they want any chance of making the playoffs.
I think they got to sweep the Rockies here.
It was a bad
because the Rockies are 4-18, but.
It was a bad inning from Graham Ashcraft that I think cost the Reds the series. Just didn't quite have his stuff. Had the really bad error trying to throw over the guy that was running to first in his path that led to the game being tied. And then they got that guy that reached on error around as the go-ahead run. So it's just one bad inning, and sometimes baseball gets you. So Ashcraft's just gonna have to flush that from his head, and the Reds are just gonna have to pick one up.
Yeah. So just to look at the standings, the Cubbies have the lead up about 3.5 games, and that's an attainable. Obviously, the Reds can get back on that, but the Cubs look really good right now, and I wouldn't expect them to fall anytime soon.
That offense is disgusting.
It is.
They're averaging like 6 runs a game right now, which is crazy.
Right.
Yep.
That is very good for Major League Baseball.
The only thing that really is hurting the Cubs right now is Justin Steele going down, and even still, they're finding ways to win without Justin Steele, which is kind of scaring me.
Mm-hmm. Yeah, so I made that point. So I would say for now, at least, that rules out the NL Central title until maybe that Justin Steele being out hurts them. So now that leads us to a wild card spot, which is attainable right now, but currently is exclusively owned by the NL West. So my theory is that they will cannibalize themselves because they still have yet to play a series against each other in the NL West. They've all been playing the Cubs mostly. And there's one that I missed, but throughout most of it, they have not played each other yet. So let's say Diamondbacks, Dodgers go up against each other. That's the 5 and the 6 seed right now. They take a couple games. That opens up. The Phillies and Brewers are going to be teams we have to fight. But I still see a path to the wild card here. But we can't be dropping series to the Marlins. We sure as hell cannot be dropping. What is it, a 3-game series this weekend?
That'd be
3 games. So 3-game series. We should sweep. We should absolutely win against the Rockies. And then we got the Cardinals. That's a division opponent. We need to win that series. So,
like I hate to say this, but do you know how bad you got to be at baseball if your record is worse than the Chicago White Sox?
Pretty.
That Rockies team is horrible.
Bad, man.
If you can't sweep all
stadium,
3,
though.
but the issue is though they're going to drop at least one of those games.
Mm-hmm.
They are.
The Rockies have just been playing too bad that the baseball gods are like, okay, we got to give you at least one.
All right.
So
So guys are paying tickets to go see them.
Some pitcher that has horrible numbers in Coors is going to come to GABP and just pitch absolute nails for 8 innings. I guarantee it. It always happens to the Reds.
Well, they're in Colorado, right?
yeah, they're in.
Oh, they're in Colorado.
Yeah,
Okay.
of
Yeah.
course.
I thought they
So
were
somebody's
coming
going to get a home field just go off game.
Ryan McMahon, 3-game dinger.
Yeah.
3-dinger game, yeah.
Something like that.
I hope we're wrong though. I hope literally come Monday we're 3 up, and I still can't believe that 2-minute warning hasn't gone off.
And you literally said that as I was clicking it, sir.
Josh is the 2-minute warning.
He literally is.
Is this going to be the last 2-minute warning, guys?
Possibly
is.
for a little bit at least. We'll figure out
Yeah,
something though.
we'll figure it
Occasionally,
out.
maybe. I bet the 2-minute warning sticks around for the football show if I have any say in that. But anyway,
That'll be a good segment.
No, Josh gets no say in the future of this channel.
Josh gets all the say in football. Let's understand that right now.
You're seeing no negotiations on live time, but 2-minute warning
Yeah, I
time.
just won.
I like this. I like this one to wrap.
All
it up.
right, it is very simple, very easy. It was a topic of discussion when I sent to you guys in our group chat, and it's what 3 sports leagues or editions would you keep? And it's basically the championships. Would it be the Final Four, the World
Final Four.
Series, the Super Bowl, the Stanley Cup, the NBA Finals, college football playoffs, Masters tournament, or Kentucky Derby? By the way, one of these teams don't belong on the other. But anyway, that being said, of these 8 options, which 3 are you keeping?
Final Four.
Is that it? That's the only one you're keeping?
If I have to, no. Final Four. World Series. Shocking, I know. And NBA Finals.
I knew 2 of those 3. I would have not have guessed baseball for you.
Let's say I'm a basketball and football guy, so Final Four, the Super Bowl, and the NBA Finals.
Hit on 3 of those. This is what I'm interested on. Garrett, go.
So I have the World Series. I think there's nothing better than October baseball. I have the Masters as well. I love it too much. There's too much of the kid in me. Is like I've always wanted to play that course. Can't get rid of it. Third, I am going to go with the Final Four for college. I love March Madness is my second favorite time of the year, and the college football playoff has some flaws right now. So I'm going Final Four.
And I'll get rid of the Final Four very quickly because Garrett. What if we threw Wimbledon in there?
I hate you.
Wimbledon is not American sport.
That's fair. I just had to throw it in there just to make Garrett think for a second because I just wanted to see him be wrong.
I wouldn't blame you, Garrett.
For me, though, number one is Stanley Cup. I've talked about this many times before. It is my favorite pro sports. By the way, Dallas Stars up 2-1 despite only leading 70 seconds of the series. The Final Four by far. March Madness, best tournament in the world. And guys, I'm a football guy. I need the Super Bowl in my life.
Yeah. No, that's fair. I'm more of a I like series. I like series a lot more than just one-off games. However, I just like more of a challenge, I guess, is the word I'm looking for to get to that.
No, I'm with you.
That final cup or whatever you want to call it.
I'm with you.
All right. Well, that was the 2-minute warning. I want to start before we get into the wrap-up by saying we're going to be making some different moves. We're not everything is finalized yet, but essentially what we're going to do is we're going to kind of split up into different podcasts. Like I've mentioned a couple of times on the show, Josh and Alex are graduating. I've graduated and will be moving. Garrett's also got an internship going up, so we're not going to be able to come into the studio together. But we also felt like it's kind of time to maybe switch it up a little bit, try to focus on some more stuff. And, me and Alex love talking basketball, so we plan on starting an NBA podcast, and I'm sure a college basketball podcast when that time comes around. And then Josh and Garrett are going to work on a baseball podcast, and when football comes around, so we're looking.
We'll be throwing blows to try to figure out who's going to be on the football content.
Oh yeah. The football podcast will be a bloodbath. We're going to have to find a way to split that one up, but so we're gonna be under a different banner. We won't be named Norse Benchwarmers. I guess I'll wait to reveal what that will be. But we'll be under a different banner. We'll be doing things a little differently, but it'll still be the same guys and some new guys coming on to talk sports, which is the core. That's what we want to do. But we want to branch out a little bit, try something a little different. And it's been an outstanding time on the Norse Benchwarmers, and this isn't the last time that we'll go under the Norse Benchwarmers banner for sure. We have some other stuff that we're going to do with that, but it won't be the same variety show that you've been tuning into for the past year and a half now. It'll be a little different. So we're excited for all the new things to come, and I guess this is the last time until graduation that I will be on with you guys. So. Best of luck in graduation. Congratulations on all of that. Garrett, best of luck in your internship. And thank you all for listening. Be sure to follow us on Twitter or X at NorseBWPod. Thank you, NKU Media Services and Bill Farrell, from the bottom of our hearts for all that you have done from the start of this podcast. Started out as a little audio recording, and then it blossomed into what you see today, and it's becoming something even bigger still. So without NKU Media Services' help, Bill Farrell's belief in us and his help in making and upgrading everything and making everything so great, we wouldn't be here. So thank you for that, and thank you, Garrett. Thank you, Josh. Thank you, Alex. And we'll see you all in the next one. Peace.